and you just tuned into It's All About Love. Today on the show, I'm going to be talking about unforgiveness and forgiveness and the benefits that come upon your body from both of those, what I'll call choices that forgiveness and unforgiveness brings on to your body or into your body, or what it does to the cell structure in your body. So just stay tuned. Now, first of all, I'm going to talk about the unforgiveness. Now, I'll just give examples of my life with unforgiveness. A lot of people know me, and well, you know me, but you don't all know me, but it's been a lot of times in my life where I had to forgive, even when it wasn't, I could have just said, I don't want to forgive, and I had really good reasons where, I had a lot of things happen, church hurt, where I've had experiences where, I wasn't treated fairly, and I was pushed to the side, and I was hurt a lot, and that led me to go to several different churches over the years. Now, I don't know, or I don't believe all these people hurt me on purpose. It may have just been some experience that I needed to go through so that I can learn certain lessons in my life. That's what I believe now. And it's made me stronger in a lot of ways, but at first it made me super weak. So I'm not going to give just definite or speak anybody's name, but I've had times where one time I'll say I was appointed to be a leader in the music ministry at one of my churches, and the pastor was in agreement to it. He appointed me to it. He said, all you need to do is go through the new members class, and you're going to be running our second choir, because he wanted a second choir that was more soulful, and he enjoyed my singing. He enjoyed my voice when I did go up to sing, and I never asked for him to do that, but he made that decision himself. And at the same time, when I came there, I encountered a young lady, and she was super nice to me and welcoming, and she was in the music department as well. And we were really good friends, fast friends. As a matter of fact, we had a lot in common. And when she found out that I was going to be her new leader, that wasn't something that she wanted in her heart, even though she said, oh, this is just something I'm doing temporarily until we get the right person. Then when I came, and we were super close, I loved her, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings or, step on anybody's toes. That's just not me. But I'm learning sometimes when God called you to do something, you can't worry about whose toes might get stepped on, because that's what he called you to do, and you gotta do it. And just, if you lose some friends, then you just, you gain some more friends at a different level. But I didn't want that. So, I started doubting myself, and I just wanted her to be happy about it. And what happened to me is it came back to me pretty much. It just, you know what I'm trying to say. and what happened is it reversed, and she ended up starting to just be really, started acting different, and started just backing away from me. And it was for no real good reason other than jealousy, and you're not going to take my position. And the whole time I'm going, hey, we can do this together. We can learn from each other, And I just remember one Halloween, we call it Holyween at church, or whatever you call it at yours, but harvest time. And we got dressed up. We had our we dressed up for fun with our costumes and whatnot, and went to their home for the party, and I remember she just didn't talk to me at all, and it was so weird. I said hi, and she go, you know, and I'm like, it was so weird how all of a sudden it just all just blew up in my face, you know. It's like, but it was a good thing. But I was hurt, and I was like, wow, she was a good friend, I thought, and all of a sudden she's like, okay, I didn't talk to you anymore, and I didn't even do anything. But, you know, it was the pastor that wanted me to lead the praise team, and I was honored, and I was willing to share. But she, on the other hand, was not having it. Okay, she was like, "You're not coming in." She didn't say this to me, but she's like, "You're not gonna come in here and take my spot," you know. And that was not my intention. However, I ended up getting really hurt and about, you know, because people started changing on me. You know, the leaders of the church, you know, and they in the people in the band, they just started changing on me, and, you know, kind of just acting like I wasn't, you know, like I was invisible, even though I was there. I mean, I still needed me because they needed my voice, because I have a strong alto voice, and I'm very good at harmonizing, and you know, I'm just very on key, got a good ear for music, so they needed me. But they were like, I know they were talking about me behind my back, because you could just tell the devil was busy, or evil was busy. Negative energies was busy. And so I am the kind of person that I've always been seeking God's face, and always like, Lord, what should I do? What should I do? You know, because I know I'm here for a purpose, and I know that I don't want to have people not like me, but at the same time, I'm always striving to do what God tells me to do, or what my path is at that time for me to do. And I knew that's where I was supposed to be, because God told me when I got there, He said to take the land. And then instead of taking the land, I started saying, hey, it's giants in that land, you know, to God. I'm afraid. I don't want, you know, they don't want me there, you know. But God still said take the land. So I didn't take the land, and so it, you know, backfired on me. That's the word I was trying to find earlier. And things just started going bad for me. Other than the congregation, they were like, hey, we love it when you sing. When you gonna sing again? And, you know, just loved me when I went up, because it was all about love, and that's all I was exuding was love, because that's what I am. God is love. I am love, because I am made in God's image, just like we all are. And you know, like I said, the negative entities, negative energies wasn't having it. And so, and plus the doubt in me, talking about the giants, you know, feeling like, oh, this is too big for me. I don't want to lose my friend, you know, my friend, who wasn't actually my friend, but I didn't know that, because I was so desperate for friends, in need for a friend. Okay. And instead of just being able to just take the land like God said to me. So, however, I ended up, long story short, the leader of the church as well, one of the pastor's wife, she ended up being at odds with me as well, for different reasons. It was just really crazy how things just kind of shut down on me kind of quickly after that. And I mentioned to her, I said, hey, don't you remember? And the pastor said that I was going to be the leader now. And she said, I don't remember that conversation. And it was just really crazy. And so I everything just backfired, you know, like I said. And so I ended up having to leave the church. And after that, I was so hurt. I said, I'm never going to go to church again. I'm never going to go back to church. You know, that was about the sixth or seventh church that I had been to at that time. And I was just going through a lot of emotional stuff. What I didn't know is that I was being awakened. My God was awake. He was enlightening me and waking me up to the realness and of the Christian church, and not just Christian church, but that's the only church that I've been going to, because in this lifetime, because that's what I was born into. So he was just awakening me just to the real world, and I didn't know that. All I know is this: I was just in a lot of pain at that time, and that just put put another layer of pain and hurt on my heart. And so still, even after I left the church, I'm not the kind of person, because that will harvest unforgiveness, because I know that with God, he says in his word, like when the disciple had asked Jesus, how many times should I forgive my neighbor? He said 70 times 7. And so basically that just means to forgive it's many times as you need to, as you're called to be forgiven. And that doesn't mean to let people just run all over you and stuff like that. You forgive for yourself, because when I was having that unforgiveness, that's all I could think about in my mind, going over and over it in my mind, how they hurt me, and how just all the different scenarios I will go through in my mind that I'm not going to sit here and and tell you right now. I'm only saying this because just maybe you might identify with something I'm talking about. And I've had other experiences that I could talk about, but this is one of the best examples to me, because I've even had family members who, basically through this journey, as I was elevated in God, turned on me as well. And I couldn't understand it, because I was like, okay, I'm trying my best, even though I'm not perfect at all, and I make mistakes like anybody, but I was being elevated, and as I was being elevated, it felt like I was being broken down too at the same time, stripped of all the pride and everything that I may have had, and just being humbled. And I thought at one time humble mean to be just somebody that just takes everything from someone who makes that you don't really matter. Basically, you're not that important because you're being humble. And that's what a couple of my pastors would say: be humble. That's the last pastor, you gotta be humble. So and I took that as to be humble, and just keep on forgiving and forgiving, disregarding my own feelings. But that's not what that means, okay? So to forgive, in my interpretation, is what I learned is basically because what was going on in my body is I was getting sick. I wasn't feeling well. It didn't make me feel better. It made me feel so insecure. It made me feel hopeless, and like I was nobody, like I was invisible. I didn't even love my own self. I mean, it felt like I was drawing that negative attention to me. The more I had unforgiveness, the more I felt sorry for myself. And the more I had my story of how everybody did me wrong, in the past and in the present. And I was just low and down on myself. And I had to, finally, God just showed me, you gotta let that go. I was reminded of this one lady on Oprah. She got attacked in her own home by someone, and it caused her to be left blind, totally blind. Okay, she had to relearn how to live her life, and she was saying how she had so much hate and resentment in her heart for this young man. All he wanted to do basically is steal her car. I mean, that's a lot, but he wanted to steal her car, and he stole her car. But then she didn't give the car up lightly, like to say, okay, here, go ahead and take my car. Okay, this lady had to learn how to relive her life as a blind lady. She was already into her 30s, and this young man broke into her house, into her garage, attempting to steal her car. And so he did steal her car, and she didn't just let him take the car. She fought him for the car, and she ended up getting shot and became, went through almost near death and became blind. And she went through a lot of resentment and a lot of hate for this guy that ruined her life. She had plans, and now her plans were different. Her plans had to change because she was different. And so she couldn't get well. She couldn't get better because she figured this out, that she couldn't get better or well because she was holding resentment in her for that man. She was harvesting resentment for that young man that I think maybe he was even a teenager at that time. And she said she had learned that, through her religion and, through God, that she was like, I gotta forgive him, because if I don't forgive him, then I can't get better. Even though she was blind, she couldn't get better in her life, live her life to the fullest as a blind woman, and heal other stuff, heal her wounds, and just feel better in her life, without that burden of resentment and hate towards that young man that caused her this pain and this change of lifestyle. So she forgave him. She made a decision and she forgave him, which that was like one of the hardest decisions that she probably had to make ever in her life. But she did it successfully. She forgave the man. She even went to the jail, and I had permission to go and talk to the young man personally, who was older now, a lot older. And she had talked to him, and she said, you know what, I forgive you for for what you did to me, for ruining my life. Basically, she didn't say it like that, but she said, I know you were young and dumb, and I know people make mistakes, and either way, I forgive you so that I can heal, so I can be better in my life. And so that was huge to me to see that. That just let me know, if she can forgive someone for blinding her, intruding her, coming into her home, stealing her car, and making her blind for the rest of her life, and then going to the jail to say, I forgive you, that's big. So I can forgive these people who hurt me, and it reminds me of the people that were, at the cross at Jesus' feet, as they spat on him and said curse words to him and stuff, and he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. We have to, we're not Jesus, but we do have to forgive, in order to move forward in our lives. Just like that lady, she couldn't move forward until she forgave him. And so with that, the people in my life that had hurt me, I decided to forgive them one by one. I asked God to give me forgiveness in my heart for them, so that I can move forward and lift that burden off of me. Just good practice, so that I don't want to carry those people around with me. I don't know what they doing, but they're like, if I have that burden on me and just keep it on me, I'm making myself sick. People, when you have grudges and unforgiveness, that causes cancerous cells to develop in your body. It causes, you can even just get high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, all kind of sicknesses. Look it up. And for having unforgiveness, for harboring unforgiveness, you also get low self-esteem, because sometimes when you'll forgive people, you put them on a pedestal, or you blame them, and they become part of your story, why you are so unhappy, and people don't like you, and all this stuff, and I've been there, done that, and also just over the years is just having several situations where I had church hurt or bad relationships or whatever, and I had unforgiveness, and even again with some of my family members just kind of turned away from me, only because I was trying to do better for myself and be, a better person, and trust in God, and and have better things. And when it started happening, some of my family members couldn't take it. They was like, dang, that's just too much now. You not like us anymore, And inside and I start crying and say, hey, I am like you. And, and when I did that, that made me to show, I started wanting to prove that I was just as good, just the same as them, and I didn't change. But actually, I had changed. I had evolved to a higher level that God took me. But again, just like I did with the young lady that I befriended at the church, I did that with my family, and I said, you know what? I don't want to lose my family, my close family members, so I'm gonna go to their level. And what happened is things just started falling apart more and more. So it didn't make things better; it just made it worse. Because I wasn't being my true self. I wasn't being my true, living the greatness that God had put in me, So I had to forgive, and it took a while. Because it's like I had a list in my head of people who had hurt me I couldn't come up with no real good reason other than possibly jealousy. Some of the things maybe I did cause, but I asked for forgiveness. It's with sincerity. I hope I didn't just spit that time, but I asked for forgiveness with a lot of sincerity, with real sincerity from my heart. And some people just couldn't forgive, and so I had to forgive myself. And that took some years for me to forgive myself for the things that I may have caused someone else to hurt. So it's important to forgive yourself and to forgive others, because again, it can make you physically sick and mentally sick, and those things are hard, especially depression and anxiety. Those things are hard to get rid of. It's hard to just get rid of that. You can't just pray that away. You got to go through some emotional stuff, and you sometimes you can pray it away. But if you don't really dig deep and get to the root of it all, then it comes back. It keeps coming back. And you have to just constantly dig those things up, get to the root of it, and forgive this person, forgive that person. And sometimes you think you forgave, but you didn't. But I find that it's really good practice to write it down. Write that person a letter and say, I'll just use my name, Jackee. I forgive you. I know we had problems in the past, and anything that I hurt you for, I've already apologized to you, and I'll apologize again. You don't have to necessarily get this letter just to that person, but just write it out. Don't even give it to them. This is between you and God, and it's a spiritual thing. Write it out. Write it full out. 2007 we had this situation, and and you hurt me, and I forgive you, and I'm gonna let it go. I'm giving it to God, and I'm setting myself free, even though you still haven't forgiven me if they haven't forgave you, and you forgive yourself, and I forgive myself. Say that. Write it. Take your time and write it. My life coach told me this, Marissa Bueno, and so liberating. So once I write it down, some people say tear it up in little pieces and put it in the toilet. But she told me to burn it. And that sounds like some kind of ritual or whatever, but it's not. It's just like, saying, hey, I give this up. I give this hurt away. I give this hurt away, and I'm not receiving it anymore. I got those lines on my face from the lighting. I'm sorry. But, just give it away. Give it to God. I don't want this anymore. I don't receive this pain anymore. I choose to live my life to the fullest, and I'm letting this pain go. I don't choose to have this pain in my heart anymore. and I bless you, I send you love, but I'm done. And then burn it. I mean, safely, of course. Make sure you don't cause no fire in your house. But maybe you can, just make sure nothing is around, and put it in a sink and burn it somewhere where you can make sure it's always burning. Make sure you can put the fire out quickly, because I don't want no kids who's listening to this to start no fires, and no one else. But that's what I'm saying. Just safely burn it. And then as it burns, just say, I give it to you, God. It's set free. I let it go. I let this go in the name of Jesus, or whoever you pray in the name of. And just release it, and let it go. And set yourself free. So that in this way you'll see. Like, I had a situation I had to write to another pastor. After I had to write to several people, and I probably still could write to some people if it ever comes up. But I had to write a letter to one pastor. I was so furious. This was my last church that I went to. I was so furious because I was like, I'm tired of this church hurt. I'm done with church, period. I didn't want nothing to do with church anymore. And so he just went there, and he was acting so superior to me, like he was. I put him on. This last pastor, I didn't put him on a pedestal like I did put other people, because I was learning. God didn't want me to put nobody on the pedestal. So, because we're all even, we're all the same. And so he just really was just being self-righteous, and just different things, and making me feel like, oh, he's better than me. Like, well, he was saying, he was acting as if he was better. I knew at that point that he wasn't, because I was past that, still learning how to feel, get my strength back, in my self-esteem strong. However, he said some things, and I was just so angry with him, and I didn't want to be harboring anger, because I know it's not good for me, because I'm constantly thinking about it. Oh my goodness, he did that, he said that, and you want to tell your story to whoever will listen. But you know what? I wrote a letter to him. I let it all out. I said, Pastor so-and-so, this is, you said this, and I said that, and you know what? I know we're just humans, and I forgive you. I'ma forgive you. I'm letting it go. And if I said anything wrong to you, I ask you forgive me. And we weren't on speaking terms necessarily, so this was just a letter for me to write and release in the spirit, because we're all spirits. We have a soul, and we live in this body. So in the spirit realm, I know he heard me in his spirit. Maybe not, in this 3D world, he didn't hear me, but he heard me in the spiritual world. And I wrote that letter all out. I said what I had to say, because I was feeling that pain, that resentment that I was feeling towards him. And I still wanted to tell people my story, but I'm tired of telling a story, a negative story. I was tired of, to that point. I don't need to tell. Nobody don't even want to hear my stories. You know what I'm saying? All this stories, this sadness. Nobody don't want to keep hearing that. So, and I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to be the one saying it. So either way, I let it go. I wrote the letter, and it was amazing. The next day, I was like, I didn't even think about him. He didn't even cross my mind really at all, and until it did come back to my remembrance. Something brought it to my remembrance. And so, wow, I don't even feel nothing anymore. Like, I didn't feel any resentment. I didn't feel any anger or hate or anything towards him. And I was free. I still don't feel anything. I appreciate what I did learn from him, because I did learn some lessons from him that was positive. And that's all I take from that. And anyone else that comes in my life, or has been in my life, that caused me pain, I let it go, so that I could be a better person, so that I can move on and get back to my life being happy and laughing, because I love joy. My daughter reminded me the other day, so you I used to be such a bubbly, just a carefree person. And it's true, you can't be carefree, but you can have times where you are carefree and you can live your life to the fullest and be happy, because we are creating our own life. And now that I know that if I harbor onto those experiences, then that allows me to continue to have those type of experiences. I keep attracting those kind of experiences. And so I don't want to attract those type of experiences. I don't choose to. So I choose to leave all that stuff in the past and live in the present. Now, I'm not saying it's all easy to do that all the time, because things come up. But you have to constantly make a decision to forgive and forget and move on with your life, because forgiveness is so key to having your best life ever. And no one said it's easy, but it is a decision. You can forgive. I know it's hard. I mean, that lady that was struck blind by that robber that came in her home, that she is paying the mortgage on and all the stuff, decorating with her money, came and took her car that she was paying for and struck her blind because she was fighting for her to, like, no, don't take my car. Which I think she just should have just let him take the car. But she because she could have got another car. But the thing is that she didn't. And she was, being strong. And now she had to forgive. She forgave. And now her life is better. And so that's a drastic scenario. But I say, in closing, that if you forgive, your life will be so much better and open to better things, open to a better life, and open to love, because it's all about love, guys. And if you harbor unforgiveness, you can't move on with your life, and you can't smile again and be happy in your life. So let it go. Give it to God. Do that. So join my show again. This all of my time. I thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and share this with someone, and please leave a comment. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. It's all about love.